You've just scrolled through 57 TikToks, 4 Reddit threads, 2 trauma dumps, and 3 memes about burnout. And you feel nothing. Not better, not worse, just tired. That deep in your bones brain fog kind of tired, even though you haven't technically done anything. If this sounds familiar, you're in the right place. Subscribe to GenShift if your brain ever felt exhausted by doing nothing. Welcome to GenShift, where we decode what it means to be young and extremely online. Today we're diving deep into digital exhaustion. Why do we feel so mentally and emotionally drained even when our biggest physical feat was the thumb swipe? It's not just you. It's a feature of the internet culture we're swimming in. Let's break down 5 psychological patterns that turn our digital playgrounds into energy vampires. Content overload, the infinite dopamine drip. First up, good old-fashioned content overload. We live in the era of the infinite scroll, a never-ending buffet of information entertainment, and let's be honest, a lot of noise. Every swipe, every refresh is a tiny gamble for a dopamine hit, that little burst of pleasure our brain craves. Social media platforms are designed like slot machines, using variable reward schedules to keep us hooked, constantly seeking the next, like the next viral video, the next piece of outrage. This creates a feedback loop. The more we scroll, the more dopamine is released, reinforcing the behavior. But there's no natural stopping point, no end of the internet to signal it's time to rest. For Gen Z, you're the true digital natives. You've grown up with this fire hose of information as your default setting. You're adept at processing information across multiple screens, but this constant connectivity can mean you're overloaded by default, leading to a sense of digital exhaustion reported by a staggering 73% of your generation. You're navigating pivotal years of personal development where so much is defined online, and this abundance of choice from career paths to what to watch next can feel overwhelming rather than freeing. Millennials, you had a different entry point. You remember the dial-up screech, the early days of clunky websites. You toggled between a pre-internet nostalgia and the rapidly accelerating digital world. You might find yourselves doom-scrolling through news updates 1 minute and then seeking refuge in familiar long-form content the next. But the outcome is often similar: a brain that's been asked to process too much too quickly. It's like that meme that says, "I watched 37 reels, felt nothing, and scrolled again." That's the content coma. Our brains, not designed for this relentless influx, get fatigued, leading to what some call brain rot. That feeling of mental sluggishness and difficulty concentrating after too much screen time. Meme numbness. When laughter is a deflection. Next, let's talk about meme numbness. Memes are the internet's native language, a way we communicate, connect, and crucially cope. They can be hilarious, relatable, and a genuine source of comfort. Humor, after all, is a powerful coping mechanism. It helps us reframe negative experiences, making them feel less daunting. Sharing a meme about burnout or existential dread can create a sense of community. Hey, I feel this too. But what happens when humor becomes our primary shield against a constant barrage of difficult emotions? Think of the "this is fine" dog calmly sipping coffee while the room burns down. It's funny because it's relatable. It perfectly captures that feeling of denial or complacency in the face of overwhelming chaos. But it also reflects a tendency to acknowledge chaos without truly processing or addressing it. We laugh at memes about anxiety, depression, or global crises, and while this can offer temporary relief and validation, it can also lead to a kind of emotional detachment. We see TikToks about crying but make it aesthetic, perfectly lit tears, a trending sad song. It's performing sorrow rather than feeling it, or at least packaging it for consumption. The constant exposure to suffering, even when filtered through humor, can lead to compassion fatigue. Our brains, in an attempt to protect us from being overwhelmed by the world's pain, might start to shut down empathy. The result, we scroll past heartbreaking news with the same flick of the thumb we use for a dance challenge. We become desensitized, emotionally numb. Laughter is essential, but when it consistently masks anxiety, grief, or rage without allowing for deeper processing, it contributes to our overall exhaustion. We're using up energy to keep the "this is fine" face on, even when internally things are very much on fire. Emotional whiplash, the algorithmic mood swing. Then there's emotional whiplash. Picture your TikTok feed or any curated social stream. 1 second you're watching a devastating personal story about a breakup, the next a hilarious cat video, then a snippet of a war zone, followed immediately by a 10-step skincare routine. Our emotions are yanked from one extreme to another in milliseconds. There's no time to process the sadness before we're expected to laugh, no time to absorb the shock before we're sold a serum. This rapid-fire emotional roller coaster is a direct consequence of algorithmic content delivery designed to keep us engaged by constantly stimulating us. But our brains aren't built for this kind of emotional parkour. Constantly switching between intense and often contradictory emotional states is cognitively demanding. Each switch incurs a cognitive cost, draining mental energy and reducing our ability to focus deeply on any one thing. This isn't true multitasking, it's rapid task switching, and it can reduce productivity and mental clarity significantly. Gen Z, often celebrated for your multitasking prowess, might find yourselves adept at juggling these emotional inputs, but it doesn't mean it's without cost. You might be processing feelings in quick succession, but is there space for genuine reflection? Millennials, perhaps more accustomed to slower media cycles in your formative years, might find this whiplash particularly jarring, sometimes leading to content avoidance altogether, just logging off because it's too much. The result for both is a mind that gets no downtime, no quiet moment to integrate experiences. It's like trying to have 5 different conversations at once. Eventually, you just feel frazzled and unable to truly connect with any of them. This constant emotional and cognitive shifting leaves our brains feeling perpetually on and deeply fatigued. Hyperconnection. Real connection alone together online. This brings us to a painful paradox. Hyperconnection often doesn't translate to real connection. We're more connected technologically than any generation in history. We have hundreds, maybe thousands of friends or followers. We can join Discord servers for any niche interest, engage in parasocial relationships with influencers who feel like our besties, and maintain streaks on Snapchat. Yet loneliness is rampant. Data shows that Gen Z, despite spending upwards of 7 hours a day online, reports high levels of loneliness, with some studies indicating 73% to 80% feeling lonely. This isn't to say online friendships aren't real or valuable. They absolutely can be. But the nature of much online interaction, the pressure to reply instantly, the anxiety of being seen, but not responded to, the sting of being ghosted, can create a fragile and often superficial sense of belonging. Ghosting, for instance, can trigger feelings of rejection, anxiety, and self-doubt, leaving individuals searching for answers that never come. Parasocial relationships, where we feel a deep connection to a celebrity or influencer who is unaware of our existence, can offer comfort but are inherently one-sided. These connections can fill a void, but they don't provide the mutual support and reciprocity of real-life relationships. We see curated highlight reels, not the messy, imperfect reality of human connection. So we're surrounded by people digitally speaking, but we may not feel truly seen, understood, or held. This constant performance of connection without the substance of genuine reciprocal intimacy is emotionally draining. We're investing energy into maintaining a vast network of weak ties, which can leave us feeling more isolated than if we had a few strong offline bonds. Hustle culture never logs off the performance of productivity. Finally, let's talk about hustle culture because it absolutely never logs off. Our feeds are saturated with it, aesthetic productivity montages, influencers promoting their multiple side hustles, and the relentless pressure to be always on. Social media often portrays an idealized version of constant work and success, creating a narrative that relentless grinding is the only path to validation. This isn't just about work. It's about optimizing every aspect of our lives, including our emotions and even our rest. There's immense pressure to document, perform, and monetize everything. That hobby you enjoy, turn it into a side hustle. That moment of quiet, use it for self-improvement. That feeling you're having, package it into shareable content. Even self-care has become performative self-care. Sunday often feels more about the Instagrammable bath bomb than actual rejuvenation. This is what's called performative productivity, doing things for external validation, focusing more on the appearance of working or resting correctly than the actual experience. It's a digital gaslight telling us these platforms are for leisure while simultaneously making us feel our leisure isn't valid unless it's also productive or perfectly curated. Consider this. A Gen Z creator posts, "Haven't felt joy in 3 months, but here's my GERDUM for a productive day of manifesting." It goes viral. The comments are a flood of same. That's where we are acknowledging the burnout but still feeling compelled to perform the hustle. For Gen Z, this pressure is intense, with 42% reporting burnout. Millennials, many of you rode the first wave of girl boss culture and might now be reckoning with its unsustainable demands, trying to redefine success on your own terms. This constant need to be achieving, improving, and sharing that journey leaves little room for quiet, unmonetized, unperformative existence. And that low-grade, ever-present pressure is profoundly, deeply tiring. Okay, quick pause. If any of this is hitting close to home, if you've ever scrolled for hours and felt more empty, not less, drop A in the comments. You're definitely not alone in this. Conclusion. So why do we feel so drained after hours of seemingly doing nothing but scrolling? It's the perfect storm. We've just walked through the relentless content overload that keeps our brains chasing dopamine that's never quite satisfying. The meme numbness that uses humor as a shield but can detach us from genuine feeling and lead to empathy fatigue. The emotional whiplash from feeds that yo-yo our hearts and minds without a moment's peace, costing us precious cognitive energy. The illusion of hyper-connection that often leaves us feeling more isolated than ever despite being surrounded by digital crowds, and the suffocating grip of an online hustle culture that insists even our rest must be productive or performed for an audience. The truth is, we weren't made for this much input, this much pressure, this much performing and pretending. Our brains and our hearts evolved at different paces for different kinds of connection, for cycles of effort and genuine unplugged rest. You are allowed to feel tired, overwhelmed, emotionally logged out. You are allowed to rest, really rest without an excuse, without a hashtag, without feeling guilty that you're not optimizing your downtime or missing out on the latest trend. The internet moves at the speed of light, algorithms constantly shifting trends, flaring up and burning out in days. But you're still human. You operate on human time with human needs and human limitations. And that's not just okay, it's essential to remember. Recognizing that these feelings of exhaustion are often a systemic outcome of the digital environment we're immersed in, rather than a personal failing, is the first step. The ultimate act of resistance against digital burnout might just be reclaiming your autonomy over your attention and your energy, and honoring rest not as a reward to be earned, but as a fundamental human right. If your scroll finger is tired and your brain needs a break, show this video some love with a like and subscribe to GENSHIFT for more deep dives into our digital lives. And hey, tag someone in the comments who you think needs a digital nap. Maybe it's you. We see you. Thanks for being here.